Let's take a look at the December item of the month, Wrapped Candy Cane Sword Cane, to understand what it does and whether it can help your style of play. The Wrapped Candy Cane Sword Cane becomes the Candy Cane Sword Cane when opened. This is a one-handed weapon with base enchantments of an additional 50% weapon damage, never fumble, additional 5 weapon damage, additional 10 for all attributes, muscle, mysticality, and moxie, and grants 250 adventures of the effect Sugar Rush if worn during rollover. Since the Candy Cane Sword Cane does not grant additional adventures if worn during rollover, another weapon may be a better choice for pajamas. The additional 5 weapon damage buff becomes a best in slot additional 115 weapon damage buff after using all daily casts of the Candy Cane Sword Cane's combat skills. Never Fumble is always a useful buff to avoid extra damage during fights, and plus 10 to all attributes is very welcome when your character is a low level or in a stat-limited ascension path such as the recent A Shrunken Adventurer MI. Weirdly, the Candy Cane Sword Cane does not count as a sword, such as with the intrinsic Iron Palms. The Candy Cane Sword Cane has 2 no-cost combat skills, Surprisingly Sweet Stab and Surprisingly Sweet Slash. Each can be used 11 times per day and adds 5 to the weapon damage buff per cast. Casting the skill also gives the effect Peppermint Rush, starting at 29 turns for the first skill cast, and decreasing by 1 each cast to a minimum of 8 turns for the final cast. The effect Peppermint Rush adds 40% to your initiative, 10% each to muscle and moxie, adds 3 stats per fight, and decreases mysticality by 10%. Surprisingly Sweet Stab always hits with an additional 25 weapon damage. It can be cast multiple times in a single fight. Surprisingly Sweet Slash reduces the monster's hit points by about 75% while also reducing the monster's attack power and defense. It can only be cast once per fight. Pairing the Slash with the Stab is a great way to take out much stronger opponents, which explains the daily limit on casts to 11 each. Once you've used all the available casts for the day, you will have a cumulative 407 turns of Peppermint Rush. Peppermint Rush is not a great effect for spellcasting if you're low level or don't have buffs to counteract the 10% decrease in mysticality. Given that every cast of the Candy Cane Sword Cane skills adds turns of Peppermint Rush, it's impractical to use a soft green Echo Eye Drop antidote, Skia for short, from the Penultimate Fantasy Airship to remove the effect every time. If you find yourself wanting to increase the Candy Cane Sword Cane's weapon damage but can't survive the turns of Peppermint Rush, my recommendation is to fight 11 monsters in a row that you can definitely beat, fluffy bunnies perhaps, to use up all your skill casts, and then use 1 Skia to remove the effect at the end. If you can survive the mysticality loss, then the stat gain from Peppermint Rush over time will help you level up faster and ultimately increase your mysticality. The Candy Cane Sword Cane has best-in-slot physical weapon damage after using all the casts of its combat skills, so monsters who are weak to physical damage will be easy to beat. The Candy Cane Sword Cane is also a standout choice for the melee damage test in the Ascension Path community service. Unfortunately, fighting monsters who are resistant to physical damage, such as Chalk Dust Wraiths and Abu Ghosts, will be much more difficult. I recommend you have an alternate approach for those enemies, such as passive damage buffs, elemental damage combat skills, an offhand elemental damage weapon through the skill Double-Fisted Skull Smashing, or combat items. Even though the Candy Cane Sword Cane can be a great weapon in the right circumstances, the best feature is the additional non-combat choices that become available in locations around the kingdom while using the Candy Cane Sword Cane. There are too many to cover here. I recommend you check out my other video, Too Much Information, Candy Cane Sword Cane, for the full list. Non-combat choices that may dramatically speed up your ascension, depending on your other Mr. Shore items, are the extra fat loot token in the daily dungeon, extra shore incorporated ship trip script, doubled sleeves removal of Zeppelin protesters, and shortcuts in the Black Forest, Mysterious Island War, Defiled Cranny, Copperhead Club, Extreme Slope, Hidden Apartment Building, and Hidden Bowling Alley. Only a few new non-combat choices are useful once you've beaten the Naughty Sorceress. These include once per day choices to get a clover from the Sleazy Back Alley, your level times 100 in meat from the Northeast Shrine in the Hidden City with no turn cost, and a familiar stat buff from south of the border. Should you pick up the Wrapped Candy Cane Sword Cane? The non-combat choices are powerful in an Ascension run, but easy to miss if you switch the Candy Cane Sword Cane out for another weapon at the wrong time. You may choose to switch weapons, not least because the Candy Cane Sword Cane does very little damage to enemies with physical resistance. Overall, I rate it 3 out of 5 stars for quality of life. Community service Ascension Path relevance, faster ascensions, and the daily clover and meat will be valuable for item and meat farmers. I rate the Candy Cane Sword Cane 3 out of 5 stars for farming. While Peppermint Rush and the weapons enchantments can be useful for certain PvP minigames, they're limited in scope. I rate the Candy Cane Sword Cane 2 out of 5 stars for this purpose. Equipping the Candy Cane Sword Cane opens up many new non-combat choices that make Ascensions shorter, so I rate it 5 out of 5 stars for speedruns. Hope this helps you decide if you should pick one up.